Senate Judiciary Committee public hearing where she sought to give testimony and documentary evidence as to the lack of qualifications of a nominee of President Bush. And as the only dissenting voice at that hearing,
Well, she waited until the hearing was closed, though. It had been gaveled
not
closed.
recognized that she had notified them of what was done.
And 3 seconds later, they had handcuffs on her.
That's right. And unfortunately, it all harks back
3 years ago.
The current front runner for the presidency of the United States.
And then you got the fact that the judge who stripped her of every right that she had while in his courtroom.
Rufus?
I sat in on every day of the hearing.
Oh, that was
and I have never seen such a flagrant abuse of due process rights in my life.
You were right there to see
I sat there every day. I was there. I went and saw her in the jail. I carried the appellate papers to and from.
His conduct of the trial was really beyond belief, but his sentence was on a par with Saddam justice.
Yeah.
Amen.
6 months for
But she wouldn't cave in.
asking to speak,
To stand up for America.
Stand up for America as a patriot and as a public advocate for the Center for Judicial Accountability, and to be taken out, not given a chance to speak, and just removed in the way he did by doubling her sentence when she refused to lie
When she didn't cave in.
and say she was sorry.
Yeah.
Even the prosecuting attorney did not recommend jail time.
No.
And the probation department did not recommend jail time.
No.
Because they viewed her as a true patriot.
Yeah.
But notwithstanding that, the sentence was so barbaric.
I think Martin Luther King was jailed too.
Yes, he
Yes,
was.
he was. Yes, he was.
And like Martin Luther King, Lena is truly a model to the cause of justice in America.
I want to thank you all for Susan McCormick. Glad to be here to see you and meet you in person.
And
Glendora.
this man drove 6 hours all the way from Washington, D.C. to Westchester County today in 102 degrees.
And Doris, it's wonderful finally meeting you, and I've met your lovely daughter many times.
Thank you so much for the visit and all the wonderful things that you did to...
Here's the man we've been waiting for. He keeps backing out of the photograph. We need you to join us.
Eli.
Eli?
I'm more than happy to join you.
The case against the New York Times is
Over here, Eli. And
important
Cambridge
news
does
of
miss
the
you over
day.
there.
Important news of the day, and Eli is
Eli
special
Sassauer. Here you go. Special counsel to...
Villano.
No, yeah, what's his last name? Villano.
And he's a special counsel to the Senate.
Yes,
On the New York
because
Times.
Elena Sassauer is not a lawyer, so she cannot represent
The center.
A corporation. Period. This is the bottom line.
That's
And you know, that's the thing that the whole thing is, your case, you know, you're up against the corporation. You've got corporate lawyers who are funded beyond belief.
Actually, he's a counsel for Sadly, Stevens, Burke and Burke for Liar for
the
Hire.
one in Europe.
Yeah.
Sora.
Yeah.
Well, I think it should be made very clear that Eli works without pay as a special counsel.
Thank you,
He
Eli.
came out of retirement to be of assistance to
Thank you,
represent the public interest and protect the public interest.
Thank you, Eli.
Eli is a, you got a couple clients here who might want to talk to you. Well, you have a
No question
retirement.
about it.
There are plenty of
He doesn't
people.
take on any private clients, only for the public interest.
Well, that's all they are.
That's what they are, they're public interest. I mean,
I don't have any personal private litigation in Glendora.
Glendora's involved in public works.
Right.
So folks, keep the current flaming and let us go after these people as a unified body.
Amen.
And send money.
And send money, yes.
And more citizens should become involved as court monitors and observe what goes on in the courtrooms across this country.
And just to reinforce that, Elena Sassower is not here in person today because she just attended a 2-day conference by George Washington University on citizen journalism. And what you need for citizen journalism is you use your public access TV, you go out and buy a camcorder, you record the corruption that's going on, and you put it on the air. And that's the only way that we're going to force change, as Glendora has demonstrated on all of her shows, that change will come if you air the dirty laundry.
That's right.
And if the dirty laundry stays in the closet and it's not seen, then those court files mean nothing. So become citizen journalist and help your neighbor.
The courts where the elite meet to cheat.
The important thing that I would urge is that people educate themselves about how bad our judicial system really is in America, even while we're talking about exporting democratic values abroad. Unfortunately, when you have a truly dedicated citizen like Elena spending 6 months in jail for attempting to improve the system by having better judges and presenting that information to a body that's charged with the duty of investigating the credentials of nominees of the president before they confirm for a lifetime position. And then you have newspapers like the New York Times that don't cover it, and when they present information, slanted, distorted, falsified the facts, and then don't even make amends with retraction or apology or doing proper coverage. So and have litigators who are not above sleazy tactics in the courts. So that now the case has to go up on appeal, the case of Elena Sassower in the center against the New York Times. That is something that is laid out in detail and depth on the website of the center and should be read carefully and reviewed by every citizen of this country who cares about democracy.
Judgewatch.org.
That's right.
Okay, folks.
Okay, well, that's a wrap.
So that problem, now let's on to the next problem.
Okay.
Thank you for the visit.
Okay.
And you, Eric Press, we're also going to go after reform of small claims. You wouldn't think in small claims you would find such judicial corruption.
Glendora, with a chat with Glendora, an update on what's happening in our court system and around the nation. Having had the pleasure of being with Glendora on August 8th, 2006 in White Plains, New York, where once again I personally saw the court rob her of her vested constitutional rights and liberties in order to protect the opponents in that case in the White Plains City Court, and it's Glendora versus Celicia Mastroelli et al. Defendants, And this is a case that Glendora has won several times, and it came to a time where she was supposed to be given $5,000 for her default judgment, but the courts will waste no amount of time to cover up this and to make sure that she never receives a nickel, as was the case when myself and Suzanne McCormick and others witnessed what was going on in the court on August 7th. I'm sorry, August 8th. But Judge Perez started off his proceeding in a hostile manner, admonishing the Glendora, the plaintiff, right off the bat. Then he moved on to allow the defendant's counsel, because he's a lawyer, to move forward and put prejudicial statements before the court with no factual background before the plaintiff was allowed to speak. Another procedural error. Third procedural error is the judge brought forth evidence in the trial. It is a sham hearing that Glendora had been barred from the filing any complaints since 1991, pro se, and we found out later when we went to the Center for Judicial Accountability, Glendora already knew this, of course, that the judge who had issued those orders in 1991 had been disbarred, and the judge's law clerk was deemed to be an agent of the defendants in this case. So whatever the judge said about this alleged order, it has to be dismissed and thrown aside, because there's clear prejudice on this side of the court. You know, while I was there, I picked up a copy of her docket, and as I said, the entire thing was a sham. Glendora now is going to be filing a complaint a civil suit in order to correct this injustice. But it just shows you how judges get away with everything. I've got some newspapers here that I want Glendora to take a look at. Here's one. This is a follow-up to a story on the judge, Roy Peterson. He sued the cleaners for $56 million for losing his pants, and now he's appealing the judge's decision as his claims were found frivolous. But he got a trial. He got his day in court. Glendora was denied by Judge Press from having her day in court. Here we go back. We've got another story here. This is relating to Prince George's County, Maryland, where I'm running as an active candidate in the 4th Congressional District for Maryland, running for Congress. However, because of what the courts have done to me, my finances have been stripped, and I've not been able to do it. But my opponents are moving forward with their campaign, and the 4 killed over the weekend, that's typical for Prince George's County, Maryland. We've got a very, very high crime rate, and that's why I and others are running for the office. Congressman Al Wynn and candidate Donna Edwards are also running in the race, but they really won't respond to the average citizen. They're strictly out to shake down the money tree so that they can gain the office. And you know, now we'll go back a little bit farther this month. This is a USA Today article where the President of the United States has exonerated Scooter Libby, and unlike Elena Sassower, Libby, who was found guilty of felonies, never served a day, and the President of the United States bailed him out. We're coming back to Prince George's County, another article in the Washington Post. This is very similar to, I found this very similar to the Suzanne McCormick story. Washington Post published this. This is where it shows you how the courts for 15 years have kept this lady from getting her inheritance, while the lawyer sits around a whole room full of files that have clogged this case and kept it from being settled. And the only person that you see smiling in the picture is the lawyer who's shaking down the whole system. And now we back again to the we got July 3rd story. Bush once again commutes Scooter Libby's trial. And why do I keep coming back to this? Because it shows an inherent problem within our government, to where the leaders in power could care less about our system of justice. The wealthy get to get away with everything. Now Scooter Libby's partner, Karl Rove, has just resigned from office. As this Washington Post article of Sunday, August 19th clearly shows, and just as earlier shows on secretjustice.com will show, Karl Rove orchestrated a shakedown of corporate America to keep the president in power and the Republican Party in power, in violation of his oath of office and separation of office. We have at this time we have our first appointed president, who was brought in the second term by corporate corruption, led by insiders of his office in the National Republican Party. And what does it bring us? At all times, it just keeps bringing bad news, where time after time after time, partisan politics gets in the way and robs our citizens of our rights. And positive legislation is put on hold so that criminals can get away with almost anything. And then, once again, we move back to Prince George's County, Maryland. And this is Thursday, July 8th, 19th, 2007. And this gives you an idea of where our country is going because of the lack of leadership that we have. I mean, basically, Prince George's County is now suffering under the repression of predatory lending and fraudulent bank practices that have and are destroying this county and the state. And these are all notices of foreclosures and bank liquidations of corporations and partnerships due to fraudulent banknotes and corruption within the financial system of the state of Maryland. But in Prince George's County, the only people, once again, who will benefit are the American Bar Association, whose lawyers put these huge ads in the papers liquidating people's property. We have the highest foreclosure rate in the nation, I believe, right here in Prince George's County right now. And, it goes right back to Corruption 101. There's Gilbert Saperstein, Merle's crime kingpin, who is basically responsible for this. The courts could care less about protecting the rights and liberties of the less fortunate, the ones who are scammed into these actions by predatory lenders who use every trick in the book to get somebody on a note and then knowing that they'll have to foreclose shortly thereafter. So, but that's a quick wrap up. Glendora has, I was very proud to be with her, even though she was pretty much hampered from speaking at her hearing of August 7th. And, the highlight was after we finished there, we went up to the Center for Judicial Accountability in White Plains and spent several hours speaking to, amongst ourselves, and with Doris Sassower, Elena Sassower's mother. You'll see Elena's, I've got included video clips of Elena's day at August 7th, 2007 at the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, she had to serve a total of 6 months to the day. 6 months to the day after being framed up by the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and yet we have administration insider Scooter Libby, who was found guilty and before the sentence could even be completely announced, President Bush is saying he's going to commute Libby's sentence. Before the first day was ever served, he was out. Now, that's strange to me because Elena Sassower was no harm to the country, such as this man who was in the third position from the President of the United States, lying to Congress, lying to the people of the United States, and God knows what else. But, he gets special treatment. Elena Sassower got to sit in jail for 6 months because another Republican colleague, Senator Saxby Chambliss, and others, framed her up in the Senate's own Senate chambers and forced her to spend 6 months in jail because they felt that they were above the law. It's time that the people of the United States stop this crap and start going to the courts and demanding that we get our rights and liberties back. Like I said, this is Chat with Glendora, the Victims Roundtable. If you go to secretjustice.com, you will find many shows on there chronicling how Elena Sassower was set up. There's several interviews, I think these shows 11 and 12 and 13, actual interviews with her after her illegal conviction, and then also shows of where she is picked up in jail 6 months later. And it's unfair. It's unfair to the masses of people in the United States that the government and the prosecutors give special conditions to insiders who commit fraud on the court, and then knowing that they think that they can get away with it. So let's move on. Glendora, I'm willing to help you in any way I can with this. If you need me as a witness for the Court of Appeals in New York, I will gladly be there for you, as Susan McCormick will, I'm sure. I have called the clerk of the court and asked for a copy of the transcript, and I've asked for a copy of the alleged order, and I've asked for a copy of the order which Judge Press cited in his from the bench, that he had a copy of an order from 1991 that barred you from filing any claims pro se, which is totally beyond his scope and authority from doing. And I need to find out exactly what date it was that he was removed from the bench for criminal misconduct, and exactly where the relationship is between his law clerk, who has been deemed by the Delaware courts to be an actual agent for Cablevision, the people you were, Mrs. Mastorelli works for, and the people who you've been trying to get justice from for years. So I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to go ahead and put this on a disc. I'm enclosing the video from Elena Sassauer's interview, the Doris Sassauer interview. I'm not going to enclose on request of the family. Unfortunately, Doris fell on Friday, the 19th, and I believe that she'll be all right. I talked to her daughter, Elena, yesterday, and she said she'll be fine. But it was a scary moment. I'm also including a brief clip of my action against BB&T Bank. And as you know, Branch Banking and Trust Company has filed suit against me, and I'm filing at a minimum. I've asked the court to allow me to file a cross-claim, counterclaim, where I will be seeking at a minimum of $3 to $4 million in damages from the bank, because their bank officers knowingly and with criminal intent back in 1994 turned over my and my partner's checking account to members of the Saperstein crime family using false affidavits. And once they controlled my bank account, ever since then I have went through 14 years of litigation. And I'd asked the court, you can see here, this is from last year, the last term I ran for Congress. This is Saperstein's website back here on the back. And any information you need to find out about him, you can find out. But this is my campaign poster from 2006. Unfortunately, because the courts are inhibiting all my funds, I am not allowed to launch my campaign officially right now, and I don't know whether I'll be able to have the funds to even do that, but I will try, because I think it's important that we get the message out as to how corrupt Maryland courts are and Maryland politics are when it comes to protecting insiders. This is the end of it. George McDermott here. I'm glad to say I'm come to you once again with Victims Roundtable, and I'm sorry. Secret Justice News is launching a new website, and it is also launching a YouTube site where we can update the people on a more regular basis as to the corruption in the courts. And thank God I live in Washington, D.C., because every day of the week, news stories come up which aren't published around the country that show fraud, corruption, political malfeasance, and here's Judge Peterson. I'm sending you some videotape from the local stations around here as to Judge Peterson's actual suit against these people. The defendants he was against this week actually published in the paper that they would not file a counterclaim because of their Oriental culture. They were talked into not filing a counterclaim, and it was contingent on this Judge Peterson acting in good faith and not filing a appeal of Judge Judith Bartolf. But apparently on Friday the judge came out with an order that he is absolutely liable for the lawyers' fees of the defendants, and he's now going to appeal it. So once again, judges have rights that no one else in this country have. They and their family members can rob you and get away with it, and the American Bar Association will stand by and help them. So, Glendora, God bless, and I will await your next set of movies to put them on the Washington, D.C. Channel 76 and DC TV. God bless, and have a good day.